Somebody said if you don't like playing with LeBron, you wouldn't like playing with Kobe. Bro, you guys got to stop these narratives, man. It's not that I didn't like playing with Bron, you guys. And you know I don't want to go into detail about it. Some of y'all comments just be so asinine.
Kyrie Irving just said something that has the entire NBA world going crazy. In a recent stream, he opened up about his years playing alongside LeBron James, and fans are losing their minds over what he revealed. This is the same player who hit one of the most clutch shots in finals history, the dagger three-pointer that won Cleveland its first championship in 52 years. Now, he's speaking on what really happened behind the scenes, the kind of stuff that never made it into ESPN highlights or championship documentaries. Some of what he said confirms things people have suspected for years, while other parts came completely out of nowhere. Reactions have been intense. LeBron's fans immediately jumped into defense mode, while others believe Kyrie is finally telling the truth everyone needed to hear. And this story goes much deeper than the highlight reels ever showed. It might even change how you view one of the most important partnerships in NBA history. To understand it, you have to rewind to 2011. Kyrie Irving was drafted first overall by the Cleveland Cavaliers, a franchise still recovering from LeBron's departure to Miami Heat the year before. The city was devastated. Fans even burned LeBron jerseys in the streets after the decision. Cleveland went from finals contender to lottery team overnight. What many people don't know is that Kyrie once admitted he wished he could have chosen where he started his career. In later interviews, he said he would have loved to develop alongside players he admired and build chemistry naturally, instead of being placed on a rebuilding team still dealing with the emotional fallout of LeBron leaving. Those first 3 years in Cleveland were incredibly tough. The Cavaliers struggled badly, winning just 21 games in Kyrie's rookie season, then 24, and then 33. While Kyrie was putting up impressive individual numbers, averaging over 20 points per game, the team simply couldn't find consistent success.
Guys make it about one player, it is kind of just weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just one player that you have to promote. Like, we had like solid players on our team. When you're playing with somebody like Bron or somebody that you guys like to compare him to, it's a different animal. It's a different journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're automatically expected to be at the top of the charts, the top of the league. You know, every time you play with Bron, it's going to be a lot of media attention. It's going to be a lot of back and forth of narratives. It's going to be about a lot of spun narratives. It's going to be a lot of politics. It's going to be a lot of shit that a lot of people don't see in front of the camera. And for me, I was just a young person trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? It's not that I dislike playing with Bron at any time.
He had to carry an enormous offensive load just to keep games competitive. Kyrie Irving was learning on the fly, trying to figure out how to be a franchise player on a roster that simply wasn't ready to compete for anything meaningful. And according to Kyrie himself, he developed some bad habits during those years, playing hero ball, forcing shots, and trying to do too much because there was no one else to rely on. He later admitted he was just starting to clean those habits up, beginning to understand how to lead a team the right way and grow into a true floor general. And then, just as he was entering his 4th season, the point where young guards typically make the leap to superstardom, everything changed. LeBron James announced he was coming back. On July 11, 2014, in his famous "I'm Coming Home" letter published by Sports Illustrated, LeBron revealed his return to Cleveland. Overnight, Kyrie's entire trajectory shifted. He went from being the franchise cornerstone to becoming the second option on what instantly became LeBron's team again. Think about the timing for a moment. Kyrie was just 22 years old, entering his 4th season, and finally ready to take full control of a franchise.
We wanted to see him be an MVP of our league. I only cared about his success, and it just didn't align. It just didn't align, and we was able to win a championship. That's the craziest thing. We were still able to win a championship, and we could never align.
He had already put in 3 tough years, grinding through losing seasons, developing his game, and learning from mistakes. This was supposed to be his moment to step into the spotlight as the guy. Instead, Kyrie Irving suddenly became the second option on what was instantly LeBron James's team again. From day one, everything flowed through LeBron, the attention, the expectations, even the organizational structure. And in that recent stream, Kyrie said something that really stood out. Playing with someone like LeBron is a completely different experience, a different kind of journey. You're automatically expected to be elite, not because you grew into it on your own timeline, but because you're standing next to the brightest spotlight in the league. The media attention was relentless. Every game became part of LeBron's comeback story and his mission to bring a championship back to Cleveland. Kyrie was putting up all-star numbers and making incredible plays, but the narrative always revolved around how he fit into LeBron's plan, whether he could be the Robin to LeBron's Batman, or if he was good enough to help LeBron achieve his goals. It stopped being about Kyrie's journey, but that's where Kyrie's recent comments get especially interesting. He mentioned that playing with LeBron meant dealing with politics, media narratives, and a lot of behind-the-scenes dynamics fans never get to see. He made it clear there are things that happen behind closed doors that never reach the public. And that's not necessarily criticism, it's just the reality of playing alongside one of the most famous athletes in the world, that LeBron isn't just a player, he's a global brand. Everything around him, team decisions, media coverage, even storytelling, tends to align with his legacy. After his time in Miami, where he learned under Pat Riley, LeBron became even more skilled at managing narratives and controlling the spotlight. When he returned to Cleveland, that entire system came with him. Kyrie, still young and figuring things out, suddenly had to navigate a world he never asked to be part of. Then came June 19, 2016, Game 7 of the NBA Finals. At Oracle Arena, the Cleveland Cavaliers and Golden State Warriors were tied at 89 with under a minute left. The Warriors had just blown a 3-1 series lead, something never seen before in finals history. The pressure was unreal. Kyrie, just 24 years old, got the ball on the left wing. He faced off against Stephen Curry, the back-to-back MVP. With everything on the line, Kyrie pulled up from deep and drilled one of the coldest, most clutch shots in basketball history. Swish, Cleveland won its first championship in 52 years. The city erupted. That shot became known simply as the shot in Cavaliers history. Kyrie was phenomenal throughout the series, averaging over 27 points per game on incredible efficiency and going toe-to-toe with Curry every night. In Game 5, he dropped 41 points, clearly not the performance of a supporting player, but of a superstar on the biggest stage. But here's what bothered Kyrie, and what is mentioned multiple times since. In the aftermath of that championship, much of the attention focused on LeBron's iconic block on Andre Iguodala, a legendary moment, no doubt, replayed over and over across media. Meanwhile, Kyrie hit the actual game-winning shot, the basket that put Cleveland ahead for good. Yet somehow, that moment didn't get the same level of attention in highlight reels or coverage. And then came the interviews.
You know, I'm playing like so fucking happy and so proud, and to watch him and continue his growth or whatever the case may be. And at the same time, I'm so fucking mad at the same time that I am not his running mate anymore.
LeBron James went on his media run after the championship and made it clear how much that moment meant to him. He talked about how that title completed his legacy, how it put him in the same conversation as Michael Jordan. And to be fair, he earned the right to feel that way. But imagine being Kyrie Irving for a second. You just hit the biggest shot of your life, the game winner that sealed a championship for your city. And within hours, the entire story shifts to someone else's redemption arc. That has to sting a little. Kyrie has never openly resented that moment. He's always shown respect when talking about LeBron's greatness. But years later, you can still hear it in his voice. He wanted recognition for what he contributed. And honestly, he deserved it. That was one of the greatest finals performances ever by a second option. Then came 2017. The Golden State Warriors added Kevin Durant, creating one of the most stacked teams in NBA history. The Cleveland Cavaliers tried to defend their title, but they were outmatched. Golden State won the series 4-1, and it wasn't particularly close. Kyrie was incredible, averaging nearly 30 points per game in the finals while others struggled, but it didn't matter. The Warriors were simply better. After that loss, something shifted in Cleveland. Trade rumors started swirling. Not directly about Kyrie at first, but about the team as a whole. Analysts debated whether changes were needed, whether the roster around LeBron was good enough, and whether anyone could realistically beat that Warriors squad. And for Kyrie, watching all of that unfold, after everything he had done, may have been the breaking point. He had sacrificed his development timeline, accepted a secondary role, delivered in the clutch, and helped win a championship. And now it felt like he was being treated as replaceable. So in July 2017, Kyrie made a bold decision. He asked out. He wanted to be traded to a situation where he could be the primary option, lead his own team, and write his own story. The basketball world was shocked. How could someone walk away from playing with LeBron James? The reaction was immediate and brutal. People called him jealous. They said he couldn't handle playing second fiddle. They questioned his leadership, his maturity, even his basketball IQ. Media figures like Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless had plenty to say, and most of it painted Kyrie as the problem. But here's what often gets overlooked. Kyrie Irving was the first major star to choose to leave LeBron while still in his prime. That takes guts. Most players either aged out or were traded. Kyrie made an active decision to walk away while still an all-star, still in his mid-20s, still at his peak. He wanted something different. He was traded to the Boston Celtics, and from that moment on, everything he did was put under a microscope. Every struggle was magnified. When Boston fell short, it was blamed on his leadership. When he got injured, he was called unreliable. When chemistry issues surfaced with younger players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Kyrie took the heat. The narrative turned relentlessly negative. Then came Brooklyn Nets, where the scrutiny only intensified, especially during the pandemic, when his personal decisions sparked widespread criticism that went far beyond basketball. Through all of this, LeBron mostly stayed silent. He never publicly defended Kyrie or pushed back against the narratives. And that silence said a lot. Because while LeBron didn't speak directly, his massive fan base often filled that void, criticizing Kyrie across every platform. That's the kind of behind-the-scenes dynamic Kyrie has hinted at. The system protects some, while others take the heat. But fast forward to today, and the story looks very different. Kyrie is now a champion with the Dallas Mavericks, proving he can win in a completely different system. Playing alongside Luka Doncic, he's shown some of the most efficient and mature basketball of his career. He's found balance, on and off the court. The same player critics said couldn't lead or win without LeBron has now proven he can thrive on his own terms. He's respected in the locker room, trusted by teammates, and still performing at an elite level. And maybe most importantly, he looks at peace. In his recent stream, Kyrie hinted that one day, when his career is over, he'll tell the full story about his time in Cleveland. Not as an attack, but as his truth. Because the reality is, what fans saw was only part of it. There were conversations behind closed doors. Decisions we never heard about. Complex dynamics that never made it to ESPN or documentaries. And that makes sense. These aren't just athletes, they're human beings dealing with pressure, expectations, egos, and business decisions worth millions. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Not the perfect fairy tale. Not the toxic disaster. But something more complicated, something real. The partnership between Kyrie Irving and LeBron James remains one of the most fascinating in modern NBA history. They won a championship, created iconic moments, and then went their separate ways, both finding success in their own paths. LeBron added another ring with the Los Angeles Lakers in 2020. Kyrie proved himself in a new environment. Different journeys. Same greatness. And maybe that's the point. Not every partnership is meant to last forever. Sometimes great players just need different things at different stages of their careers. So what do you think? Was Kyrie right to leave Cleveland when he did? Or should he have stayed and chased more titles with LeBron? And was the criticism he faced fair, or did it go too far?